So now in this video we will be summarizing the CCNA version 7 Bridging SRWE course. So we have 4 modules here. So the first module is the module 10, the WLAN security concepts. So we talk about the endpoint security, the network attacks today, such as DDoS attack or distributed denial of service, the data breach, and malwares. So we also talk about the network security devices that protects us from outside attacks or outside access. So we have the VPN enabled router, the next generation firewall, and the NAC devices. We also talk about the Cisco email security appliance, which monitors SNTP traffic, and the Cisco web security appliance, which monitors HTTP traffic. So we also talk about the access control and the AAA components, which stands for authentication, authorization, and accounting. So for the authentication, it authenticates who the users, who are the users, and then for next is authentication, authorization. So it describes the access of the user, and for A, the accounting. So it just collects and reports usage data. So it simply records the conversation or the communication between devices. So we also have the layer 2 security threats. So we have each attack categories and how to mitigate it. So we have the attacks like VLAN attacks, MAC address table attack, ARP attacks, DHCP attacks, and STP attacks. So we also have ways to mitigate it, or techniques such as port security, dynamic ARP inspection or the DI, the IPSG or IP source guard, and DHCP snooping. We also talk about the MAC address table attack. So the attacker floods the MAC address table of the switch, so they can capture all the flooding frames. And we also have the MAC address table attack mitigation. So one way to mitigate it is through port security. And then for the LAN attacks, we further discuss the LAN attacks such as VLAN hopping attacks, the ARP attacks, STP attacks, and the HCP attacks. So for the module 11, the switch security configuration, so we talk about the implement port security. So we need secure unused port. So if we are not using the ports in a switch, we need to secure it. Mitigate MAC address table attacks. So one way to mitigate this kind of attack is through port security. So we also talk about the enable port security. So we limit the and learn the MAC addresses. Port security aging. So the remaining time for the MAC address. The port security violation mode. So we have the restrict, protect, and shutdown. Ports in error disabled state. So we have we send syslog message and verify port security. So we use show commands. Mitigate VLAN attacks. So steps to mitigate VLAN hopping attacks. So we need to disable the TP or the auto trunking. So we also assign ports into unused VLAN. So we also have to mitigate DHCP attacks. So DHCP snooping. So steps to implement DHCP snooping. So we need to trust some ports, and then we limit the DHCP discovery message, the limit rate, mitigate ARP attacks. So we also discuss the implementation. So in ARP inspection, we also need the DHCP snooping. So mitigate STP attack. So one way to mitigate the STP attack is we use the port fast and BPDU guard. So we talk about how to configure port fast. So in an interface or on all interface by using the default keyword, and also for the BPDU guard. And now for the module 12, the WLAN concepts, we talk about the introduction to networks, the type of wireless networks. So we have the WPAN, WLAN, WMAN, and W1. So it depends on the ranges. For example, the WPAN or wireless personal area network. So it operates between 30 feet. And the wireless technologies, we have Bluetooth, So our keyboard is pairing with other devices. We also have the WiMAX, cellular broadband, and satellite broadband. We also have wireless standards organization. So we have the ITU, the IEEE, and Wi-Fi Alliance. So for the WLAN components, we talk about the wireless NICs. So wireless NICs are used to connect wirelessly. So if we don't have wireless NICs, we can use USB wireless device, I think. And then wireless home router. So the wireless home router, it serves as an access point, a switch, and a router. So for the access point, we use that to connect wirelessly. And the switch, it provides ports that can interconnect wired devices, and the router, so it serves as a default gateway to connect a network to infrastructure network. So we also have the wireless access point, so it is used to connect wireless devices or wireless clients in the network. And then we also have the wireless antennas. So we have three types of wireless antennas. We have the omnidirectional antennas, the directional antennas, and the MIMO. So the omnidirectional antennas, it provides signal for 360 degrees range. We also have the directional antennas, so it provides signal in a single direction only. So in that signal, it have in that direction, it has the more signal. And then for the MIMO, or multiple input and multiple output antennas, so it uses multiple antennas to increase its bandwidth. So we also have the WLAN operation, the wireless topology mode. We have the ad hoc mode, infrastructure mode, and tethering. So in the ad hoc mode, so the device are communicating wirelessly in a peer-to-peer manner. The infrastructure mode, so it uses access points and wireless router to interconnect wireless clients or wireless devices. We also have the tethering, so it's about a personal hotspot. We also talk about the BSS and ESS. So the BSS, we only use a single access point to interconnect wireless devices. And the ESS is the combination of two or more BSS. We also discuss the frame structure of wireless frame. So the wireless frame is similar to Ethernet frame, but the wireless frame have more fields. So we also discuss the CSMA/CA. So it is a method for determining how and when we can send a data on a network. So we'll talk about the wireless client and AP association. So in this topic, a wireless client must discover the access point, then authenticate them, and the last associate with it. And you also the passive and active discover mode. So in passive mode, so it advertises its service, while the active mode, you need to know the SSID of the network or the network service. So we also have the CAPWAP operation. So we introduction to CAPWAP. So it is a protocol for WLC to manage multiple access points. We also have the DTLS encryption. So it is used for encrypting WLC and access points. Next is the channel management. So we discuss the direct sequence spread spectrum, or the DSSS. So the original signal, so it changes into wide signal for large area. We also talk about the FHSS, or the frequency hopping spread spectrum, and the OFDM, or orthogonal frequency division multiplexing. We also talk about the WLAN threats. So we discuss the DOS attacks, or denial of service attacks. and rogue access points. So the access points are connected to corporate network and without explicit authorization. So this means that access points or the attacker captures all the frames. We also have the secure WLANs or wireless LANs. So we talk about the SSID cloaking and MAC address filtering. The 802.11 original authentication methods. So we have the TKIP and the AAS. We also have the shared key authentication methods. And then we have also the encryption methods. So for the last module, the module 13 or the WLAN configuration. So we discussed the remote site WLAN configuration. So log into the wireless router. So we log into the web browser. We type in the IP address of the router. So we also talk about the basic network setup. So it is configuring the passwords and the IP addresses and the basic wireless setup. So we configure the SSID name, the passphrase, and the security. We also talk about the configure basic WLAN on the wireless LAN controller. We log into the wireless LAN controller, so it also the same. We log into the web browser. We also in the GUI of wireless LAN controller, we can view the access point information. And we can also go to the advanced settings wherein we can access all the features of wireless LAN controller. And then we also can configure a WLAN. We also talk about the configure a WPA2 enterprise WLAN on the WLC. So we can configure SNP server information and radio server information to the wireless LAN controller, and create or configure a new interface, DHCP scope, and configure a WPA2 enterprise WLAN. We can also we also talk about the troubleshooting on WLAN issues. So we have troubleshooting approaches. We have steps. I think we have 6 steps here. And then the wireless client network not connecting. So we have troubleshooting steps here. And then troubleshooting when the network is low. So commonly it is we need to upgrade our clients, our wireless clients, because older versions may slow down our network performance, and then we can also split the traffic.